Honestly, I just needed a break. My phone had become an extension of my hand, the constant buzzing like a mosquito of anxiety. Deadlines, reels, emails, messages, thoughts about what I should be doing, who I should be becoming. You know the drill. So I stepped out. Not in search of enlightenment. Just air. And that's when I saw it. A tree. That's it. Just a tree. It wasn't glowing. It didn't whisper secrets to me. No lightning. No monks meditating under it. It was just standing there. Quiet. Rooted. Unbothered. So I sat down across from it, just for a moment. I thought it would bring rest to my mind. 30 minutes later, I wasn't the same person. You know, trees don't try to impress. They're not in a hurry. They don't refresh their feed. They don't compete. They just are. And in that presence, I found something that words struggle to explain, but I'll try anyway. It was like the tree became a mirror. A mirror to life, to truth, to everything we forget while chasing everything else. First, it showed me stillness. Not the kind that comes when you're out of options. But the kind that comes from being so complete within yourself, you don't need to move. You choose to. That tree wasn't bored. It wasn't restless. It wasn't waiting for the next big break. It had roots in the ground, and its face turned to the sky. And I thought, wow, what if that's how we lived? Rooted in who we are, but always open to growth. And then came the second wave, patience. When was the last time you saw a tree rush? A tree doesn't force its leaves to grow. It doesn't freak out if spring is late. It trusts the rhythm of the seasons. Can you imagine what that level of trust would feel like in our lives? Sometimes we're not out of time, we're out of patience. And speaking of growth, that tree taught me something crazy. Not all growth is visible. For every inch it grew above ground, it had roots 10 times deeper. See, we live in a world that claps when we shine, but it rarely applauds when we're in the dark, doing the inner work. But the roots? They matter more than the branches. You can't stand tall in a storm without the depth underground. And the storms? Oh, they will come. This leads to the next thing it showed me, resilience. Have you ever seen a tree during a storm? It sways, but it doesn't snap. Why? Because it has flexibility. We, on the other hand, try to control everything. We resist change. But trees? They dance with the wind. What if we did the same with life's uncertainties? That would change everything. While I sat there, half lost in awe, a bird landed on the tree. Then flew away. Then came back. The tree didn't hold on. It didn't cry. Come back, I loved you. It just let go. Right there, I learned about non-attachment. People come, people go, moments arrive, moments leave. The tree doesn't chase the bird. It becomes a place worthy of return. And isn't that what we should aim for? Not clinging, but becoming. Somewhere between those thoughts, a leaf fell. No drama. No announcement. It had served its time, and now it was letting go. Gracefully. Letting go isn't loss. Sometimes it's the beginning of renewal. In those quiet seconds, I realized how much we fear endings. We think they're failures. But trees don't mourn autumn. They prepare for spring. And while we're at it, why do we keep comparing ourselves to others? The tree didn't look at the one next to it and say, wow, she has more leaves. Am I a failure? Should I change my bark? No. As comparison is a thief, and trees don't steal joy from themselves. Each grows at its own pace, in its own direction, and still contributes to the forest. Imagine what our world would be like if we did the same. And then came this final wave, like a silent truth hitting my chest. Presence is power. That tree had been there the whole time. Same spot. Same posture. Yet, it changed me. Why? Because it was fully there. No performance, no noise, just being. Sometimes the most powerful energy is the quietest in the room. not the loudest. Now look, I'm not saying quit your job and become a tree. However, if you do, please let me know how that goes. What I am saying is, maybe the tree is a teacher, wherein nature has been screaming wisdom while we've been scrolling. Maybe the answers aren't in the next book, podcast, or productivity hack. Maybe, just maybe, the truth has roots and leaves. You don't have to do much. Just look, sit, listen, breathe. Let life show you what it really means to live. So the next time you feel lost, overwhelmed, or disconnected, go find a tree. Sit with it. Not to change it, but to let it change you. And if that sounds weird, that's good. All the best things in life usually start that way. Now, if you felt something stir inside you during this talk, if a part of you whispered, "Yes, this is what I needed to hear," then I invite you to pause. Not just from this video, but from the noise. Take a walk. Leave your phone. Go meet a tree. And when you return, I hope you return to yourself. I continued sitting there without preconceived notions or thoughts. And as I sat there, still watching that tree, something else unfolded. Not in the bark or the branches, but in me. I started thinking about us humans. Our busy, rushed, overcomplicated lives. Our endless to-do lists. Our notifications. Our goals, our failures, our dramas. And in contrast, here stood this tree, with no phone, no calendar alert, not even a single complaint. Yet more accomplished, more centered, more giving than most people I know, myself included. Have you ever thought about how we, as a species, handle adversity? Scratch that. Let's be brutally honest about how we fail at handling it. We crumble. We react. We lash out. We abandon ship at the first sign of discomfort. And more than anything, we lack the very basics of self-discipline. We know what's right, but we don't do it. We know what's good for us, but we sabotage ourselves. Self-discipline isn't just waking up at 5 a.m. or hitting the gym. It's about holding your ground when storms hit, staying rooted when the world tries to blow you off course. Just like that tree. It doesn't yell at the sky during a thunderstorm. It doesn't run away from a drought. It stays. It adapts. It waits. It bends, but it doesn't break. Isn't that exactly what we need to learn? The tree doesn't have a moral compass carved into its trunk, but somehow, it behaves with more integrity than most humans do when things get tough. We abandon our values at the drop of a hat if there's pressure. Our loyalty, our patience, our truth, all is negotiable when adversity knocks. A tree in winter doesn't pretend it's summer. It doesn't fake a smile, wear a metaphorical mask, or scroll Instagram to feel better. It stands there vulnerable, but proud. It trusts the process. What if we did that? What if we had that level of patience, the kind that doesn't demand overnight success, instant gratification, or a shortcut to healing? We're in a world where people expect results faster than trees grow fruit. We're the only species that cuts down a forest to print books on how to save forests. How twisted is that? You know what else the tree taught me? Maturity. Maturity is not age. It's not about gray hair or experience or how many motivational quotes you've saved on Pinterest. Maturity is about responding, not reacting. It's about knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. It's about being rooted in your truth but flexible enough to grow. And while I watched this tree, doing nothing but being itself, I realized how rarely we humans just be. We're either performing, pretending, or persuading. But very few of us are present. Very few of us are still. You'd think we'd be smart enough to learn from nature. But no. We bulldoze mountains, dam rivers, dig up minerals as if they're infinite. We wipe out entire species, flatten forests, and then complain about heat waves, floods, and air pollution like it's some external villain. Nature isn't fighting us. We're fighting it and we're losing. All for what? Pocket money. A few zeros in a bank account that won't follow us when we die. A glass building that replaced a grove of banyan trees. More cement. More plastic. More ego. What are we going to tell our great-grandkids? That we were too busy cutting down trees to notice the climate collapsing? That we traded glaciers for gadgets? A tree doesn't hoard. It gives. Oxygen. Shelter. Food. Shade. Wisdom. Without expectation. Without judgment. Without a price tag. It gives because giving is part of its nature. Imagine if we lived like that. Imagine if humans served each other the way trees serve the earth. But we don't. Instead, we treat nature like a vending machine. Punch in a few buttons and expect it to deliver. And when it stops, we throw a tantrum. It's heartbreaking. Because the trees are still trying. The rivers are still flowing. The mountains are still holding strong. But how long can they last when we treat them like obstacles instead of allies? We say we want peace. We say we want clarity. We say we want purpose. But we don't slow down long enough to see that the answers were always around us, in the sway of a branch, in the dance of sunlight on leaves, in the silence of a tree just existing. People often ask me, what's the best way to learn patience? I say, sit with a tree. No, really. Just sit. No podcast. No book. No phone. Just you and the tree. Let its stillness sink into you. Let its story unfold without a single word. And maybe, just maybe, you'll begin to understand what I did. That life isn't something you rush through. That peace isn't something you chase. That purpose isn't something you find in a job title. It's something you become when you align yourself with the rhythm of nature. Let me tell you something that might sound crazy, but it's truer than most things you'll hear this week. Trees are healers. Silent, patient, loving healers. They won't give you a prescription. But they'll show you how to breathe again. They won't charge you for advice. But they'll teach you how to listen. They won't fix your problems. But they'll remind you that not everything needs fixing. Some things just need understanding. And understanding. Oh, we're in desperate need of that. We're raising generations on fast food, fast Wi-Fi, and faster dopamine hits. But a tree? A tree will take 10 years to grow a single ring. And it's still content. Still generous. Still majestic. We need to unlearn the rush. We need to relearn how to just be. The tree didn't ask me to watch it. It didn't change itself for me. It didn't perform. It just existed in its fullest truth. And in that 30 minutes of watching it, I learned more than years of reading self-help books, scrolling through motivational content, or attending high-priced seminars. That's when it hit me. The most evolved beings aren't the ones making the most noise. They're the ones radiating the most peace. And we can be that. We should be that. But first, we need to look inward. Ask ourselves, where have we lost our roots? Where did we trade stillness for chaos? Where did we forget how to honor what was sacred? Because nature is sacred. The earth is sacred. Your soul is sacred. And maybe the most revolutionary thing we can do in today's world is not to protest louder, hustle harder, or argue smarter, but to sit silently with a tree and remember what it means to live with integrity, with patience, and with purpose. So the next time you walk past a tree, slow down. Really slow down. Put your phone in your pocket, silence the noise in your head, and just watch. Maybe for a minute. Maybe for 30. And if you're lucky, truly lucky, you'll start to remember something ancient within you. Not something new, but something you forgot. And in that remembering, everything will make sense. That's the power of presence. That's the gift of a tree. And that is why I watched a tree for 30 minutes and understood quite a lot. Until next time, stay grounded, stay growing, and never underestimate the power of stillness. If this message resonated with you, share it. Like it. Comment below with what your tree taught you. And subscribe for more soul-deep content. Because sometimes, the most life-changing things don't scream. They whisper. And all you have to do is listen.